Cool. So welcome. Today we'll talk about a very exciting topic, which is network API platforms. And you know, it's a topic which saw tremendous development in the last year or last months, and it impacted many parts of the value chain. So I'm really thrilled to have here the panelists today, which represents different parts of the value chain. We've got Markus Kümmerle from Deutsche Telekom, who will represent the view of the operators. We've got Harvey from XConnect, representing the specialized players in the API space. There's Álvaro Navarro from Vonage, representing the CPaaS view, and he'll tell us also about the customers. And last but not least, there's Andrés Burgoa from Aduna Global, representing the aggregators view. So before we deep dive into the topic itself, I'll invite you guys to maybe quickly introduce yourself and maybe explain how your role fits into the API ecosystem and how you interact with it. Maybe Markus, you go first.
Yeah, hello from my side. Markus from Deutsche Telekom. I have started the API topic in Deutsche Telekom 5 years ago. I have led it for 3.5 years and then handed over to a line organization because it was so successful. We learned early, very early, that we only win together, so we have to do it jointly with partners, and that brought us to CAMARA. So I'm here in my CAMARA role. I have created CAMARA operationally. I have done the GitHub, I have done the website, I have onboarded all of the 1,300 members in CAMARA by my own. I have driven it 3.5 years alone, now also handed over to the typical open source boards because it got too successful, too great.
Cool. Mark.
That's a mic drop moment, I think. Can we have a round of applause there, please? I don't know how to follow that, really. So my name's Mark Harvey. I was the founding CEO of what was Secura. We've recently been acquired by XConnect, so my job title now is Chief Identity Officer. I was before CAMARA, so all of the spaghetti that was in the ecosystem, the different APIs that the mobile operators were exposing, we basically took those and also monetized them. And yeah, we've continued to do that, but I think as the industry is now changing into CAMARA, it's making our world a lot simpler. So thank you.
Hi, hello. Does it work? Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Álvaro from Vonage. I'm here representing the CPaaS side of this equation, right? So what do we do here? We are what is called aggregator. So we are the unique entry single point for developers and customers that want to use the network APIs. So we provide, or we care about things like developer experience. We care about, to have like the best experience when they use and integrate the network APIs. So we are basically between the operators, Aduna, and the developers outside. I'm part of the developer relations team, so I'm at bridge between those developers in companies using the network APIs and the company itself. So this is what we mainly do. Thank you.
Good. Great to be here in this panel. Thanks for the invite. Andrés Burgoa, I'm part of Aduna, and my job is to make the life of these gentlemen easier. These two are my customers, and Markus, you are a supplier from a DT point of view, but also we speak the CAMARA language at scale. So our job is to buy APIs from carriers globally to make the lives of these gentlemen easier so they can focus on building developer relations, solutions to banks, to enterprises. So we're a piece of the puzzle. I think STL put it quite nicely, I think last year, we're the piece of the puzzle that perhaps nobody knew was missing. But I'll leave it at that, and good to be here.
Cool. Thank you also. You can see gentlemen with different background, but united by the same goal, making API networks more accessible, more standardized. And yeah, it was a lot said about how the world of the API platforms has changed in recent times. And now, gentlemen, what I'm curious about is, like, from your view or from your role in the value chain, so what were the most significant changes in recent times in the API ecosystem in general? Markus, do you want to start?
Okay, I can start again. I think the most visible change that was the launch of Aduna to the outside. And it's a really remarkable step. I think it's the second time after the SMS roaming agreement in the 80s that the telcos join forces and create such a thing and invest so much money. But also inside the whole ecosystem, we have done a lot. So we have improved the standards, we have improved the APIs. We worked on the GSMA Open Gateway platform, the consent 2.0. So the consent in the past was terrible because every time an API was called, you get this pop-up. That's not the way we should do it. You should ask before the use case to get all the rights and then done, like it is done for a mobile app. So we have changed it. We have done a lot in the implementation of the whole thing. So for example, for location APIs, you need a sovereign cloud. It's not allowed to have this data on public American hyperscalers, at least in Germany, because of the law. So there are a lot of slight improvements which are done behind. And one which is for me the most important, we have the first customers. So we have Deutsche Telekom, we have signed a contract with TikTok, and now we are in progress to sign a contract with Google about silent notification, that it is really integrated natively in Android. And which is a great step that will bring us billions of transactions as an industry.
Thanks, Markus. Who wants to go next?
I'm going to just follow this guy every time. No, so look, I think what we've got to do is learn as we go, right? Go back to 2008 when the mobile operators tried. I think that was with the One API back then. And we failed 5 times since, right, to try and bring us all together. I think with the people on the stage here, and it's very rare, right? And I've been doing this for too many years. I didn't have grey hair when I started. You wouldn't get, especially us two sat as close as this, right? Being competitors. So I think the industry's evolved. I think the industry's realised that actually from a mobile operator perspective, a layer, not too sure what else, a broker, but also like, you know, us as, we've got a CPaaS player here, we're kind of almost like an SI. It's so important that we all work together, right? Nobody's going to crack this on their own, and I think when you look at history, that's what people tried to do. They thought that they could go out, even an operator on their own. There was a US operator that tried something called ZenKey. It failed, right? So now is the first time I'm seeing that the ecosystem is here. So let's continue to learn. Let's continue to collaborate. And over the last kind of 24 hours, it's been great also to hear from the wider CPaaS community of what they need. And I think we also need to, continue to take that on board.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I think you spoiled my answer. I was about to say exactly the same thing. But yeah, I think to me the biggest changes is to see network APIs as a promise to reality, right? I remember when I saw the specification for the first time on GitHub, like, okay, this is going to be actually something tangible that I can use in my app, and it's happening, right? That's, to me, the main difference now versus what we had in the past. So yeah, I fully agree with them. Also, a big super change for us as CPaaS is something like Aduna. In the past, as aggregator, we have to deal with each operator, each mobile operator, with all the legal stuff, technical bureaucracy and everything, right? So now it's easier for us. So we want single entry point, which is Aduna, and all the mobile operators are there. So for us, has been like a super change.
Yeah, I think we're all singing in the same tune. What's different this time? 2 weeks ago, we were in Dallas, and we held our first Aduna summit. It wasn't a big summit or a super fancy summit, but it was hosted in the AT&T headquarters, where we had Verizon, T-Mobile, plus dozens of other global operators from Japanese, Australian flyover. And seeing the global operator community sitting down, listening to the demand community, TikTok, Zoom, SAP, Secure, Vonage, many others, around the use cases and expectations that they have was very different. So I think if you would have asked me, 2 or 3 years ago, would you imagine all 3 American carriers sitting next to each other, listening to network APIs and the promise of it, and all of them clapping at the end of the session? I think I would have said, really? And like you said, Markus, I mean, the joint venture Aduna is owned by the operator community, so there is real willingness to crack this nut. We have demand, we've proven that. We have a technical specification, but there's more pieces of the puzzle, right? There's commercial, there's legal, there's consent, there's vetting, so there's a lot of other things that we're in the road to help crack for the rest of the industry.
Cool, thank you. So we can see that actually there has been already quite a long path that has been walked, right, to be where we are today. And now actually I'm moving to my next question, which is like, how do we actually exploit the whole potential of the API ecosystem as it is today? So how can we all make use of what we already have and go where what we set as the targets? And maybe I'll start maybe with Vonage this time, and maybe Álvaro, you can tell us what your customers, what do you see your customers asking about API ecosystem? So where do they see the value? Where do they see maybe some risk? Where's the demand?
Yeah, it's a good question. So basically, they look for two things: good developer experience, because we're talking about some of the complex APIs, and coverage. Right, so one of the questions that we usually got is, okay, so this API is amazing, but this is going to work in my country, right? And developer experience is important because a lot of people, they don't know that those network APIs, for example, require approval from the mobile operators and from Vonage as well, and Ericsson, in order to get access to the API. So sometimes this process could take long, right? And if you provide that developer experience to those customers, sorry, something like a playground that they can play with APIs, even if it's fake data, but they can start, familiarize themselves with the API itself, and they can play a little bit with API. That's going to make the difference for them to increase that option, to increase the experience. We focus a lot as well on documentation, use cases, demos. We go to events as well. This is exactly where we have the chance to meet those developers, those companies that they are the ones that use the network APIs, and try to translate all the feedback coming from them into the product, right? Just to give you one example, we have some of the network APIs that we already have in place. We realized that we could improve the value by integrating those APIs into the Vonage products. For example, number verification. You can verify user's identity by checking the traffic, right? But one of the customers said, okay, what if that verification failed? What do I do, right? So I have to switch a different channel. So that is exactly a situation that aggregators can improve the value for customers by listening to the feedback and improving the developer experience.
Cool, thanks, Álvaro. And now maybe from Aduna's perspective, you already mentioned, Andrés, how you guys aggregate everything, but how do you help CPaaS players and others in the ecosystem solve the challenges that they have?
Yeah, Álvaro said two things, developer experience and coverage, right? So I want Álvaro and his peers to focus on that first thing the most, right? And build solutions that developers can use. And when you have a coverage question, you just ask for a country and an API, right? And you don't need to deal with, or to get on a plane to deal with 3 or 4 operator meetings and negotiate commercials and legal and technical discussions. So we are here to solve the coverage complexity as one of the main things we're here to do, so you can build solutions towards developers and enterprises. We don't go directly to that community. We let the ones that know that community the best address that.
If you ask me, if you want to have my figures, this single operator to direct enterprise business is nice, but it will be 5% of our revenues. So we have successful cases already. So like we in Deutsche Telekom, we have this live video product, which is used by RTL, one of the biggest TV stations, by Associated Press for all the sports events, for the political events, with great success. That is nice, but I think that will only be 5%. 80% will be on the wholesale side. And the reason is, most of the use cases require aggregated APIs. So we have to wholesale it, and that will be the scalable business of it. And now finally you're asking where are the 15%, the missing ones? That's a new thing, what we have learned. It's a good opportunity for the telcos to rebuy the aggregated APIs and sell it to the B2B customers, because we need it aggregated. And that's a good business. We are starting with that, and that fills then the 100%. So it has changed from initially thinking, we have mostly the pure operator thing, to a world where we worked wholly on wholesale, to now to this picture, which is also a learning.
Cool.
I'm just going to add on to that, actually. So I'm very proud to say, because we're here in the Netherlands, but we're actually supporting KPN in that exact model, right? Where they're buying in across the other operators from us, and we're seeing some exciting new use cases come from them. And I think from the operator community, it's a massive, I agree, right? It's a massive opportunity. You're already connected to some phenomenal enterprises. The trust is already there. Now the standard APIs are there. It's just that kind of commercial and operational piece with the other operators. So, you know, we're not just talking about it, it's actually happening, it's real, it's live here in the Netherlands, and the carriers are buying from each other, which is really exciting to see. The other thing I just want to go back just very briefly here, one of the questions, what should we do? I'm going to also say the word focus, right? I think it's really, really critical. As much as I get really excited, and thank you for Helen at GSMA of sharing the slides, one of the things that scared me was that there's 181 CAMARA APIs that are being spoken about, right? We can't focus as an industry on 181 things. And we've fallen off the bike 5 times previous, as I've said. Let's not fall over because we keep saying, can we have another one? Can we have another one? So a message to the ecosystem is, yes, it's great to innovate, but sometimes let's put rubber to road and focus on getting the revenue going, because the operators will soon move on again if we can't prove that there's real revenue to be had in the ecosystem.
Thanks, Mark. And maybe just to be...
Clap.
Mark, just... Sorry. Okay. Mark, just to build on that, one question. So how do you guys, like you as a developer or like specialized player in the API ecosystem, how do you actually take the raw KPIs and then create some tangible products for the customers? How does that help you in the whole ecosystem?
So it's really strange. I hear a lot, and I heard it a lot during my Mobile Connect days, right? The word talk to the developer community is there. I'm going to be really contentious and say I totally disagree, right? Don't talk to the developers. Talk to the product owners, talk to the product managers within the organizations. They're the ones that have got the problem, right? Developers are great, and I think in a self-serve model, in smaller organizations, developers will go on, they play, they go onto Twilio, Vonage's site, etc. But actually, when you start talking to these bigger enterprises, there's teams there already in place, right? Go out and actually talk to those and understand what the problem is. That's what we've been doing, and that's why we've built a multi-million-dollar business doing this over the years, right? Not talking to the developer community. And I'm not saying you should never talk to them, but yeah, product, right? Understand where the pain points are, and listen. That's the real key there.
So essentially going where the demand is, right? For that, yeah.
Yeah, look, we pick up any newspaper. Oh, that shows how old I am. Pick up a digital tablet and read the news. There's fraud happening, right? It's growing. Ever since COVID, we were all forced to go digital, right? One way or the other. Before then, we could meet, we could greet, we could do other things. But the COVID pandemic made us go digital. The fraudsters have now taken advantage of that. And let's face it, as an industry, we're never going to overtake them. We're always catching them. And I think with the age of AI, we had a lot of AI conversations yesterday. The fraudsters have got access to those tools as well. Yeah, let's not think they haven't. So again, let's community, drive, share knowledge, listen to the problem. It's not a build it and they will come mentality. We've tried that. That didn't work, did it, Markus? No. Right? We've got to listen to the problem.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Mark. Now, I've said demand, we've heard growth. We all know that looking at different reports, the global API ecosystems poised to grow. If I'm not mistaken, we're talking about annual growth rates of 25% for the next 3 to 5 years. Now, what I'm curious about is where do you guys expect most of the growth come from? Or like maybe to rephrase it, In your view, where do you expect the network API ecosystem to be in 3 to 5 years from now, ideally? Or what use cases are you most excited about?
Okay, then I start again. In 5 years, hopefully, we have closed all the gaps. So the standards are mature, it's all implemented, the infrastructure is there, and we go back to our roots. And I'm with Mark, we have to focus on the customer need. Because currently, we try to expose everything what we have. Every little technical identifier for fraud we expose, but that's the wrong way. We have to ask the customer, what's your need? And at the end, the customer has only one question. Is it fraud? Yes or no? And we should focus on this value. And then the second one is, why do you tell me it's fraud? So give me some arguments for it, because I have to tell my customer that I deny the credit. So, and that's the real value where we should focus, and that's the API which should provide, and not the nitty-gritty 15 little fraud APIs what we currently have. So back to the roots, focus on the best customer products and sell it.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, so
Mark?
apologies, the bright lights here, you can't always see who's in the audience. So I know we've got some analysts and things here. Over the last few weeks, I've had the pleasure of listening and watching presentations. So I've seen somebody go as bold and brass to say by 2030, this is a 300 million, billion, whatever the number was, right? Crazy number. But it is possible, right? I do believe those kind of numbers are possible if we come together, if we focus. If we don't, it's not really going to work. But the other ask, and I know there are some operators in the room, I think services like silent authentication or seamless authentication, we call it things slightly different. There's the first problem, right? We need to agree what we're going to call these things. If you go out to the public and say, what is an SMS OTP? I would argue a good 90% plus of people are going to know what that is, right? We've got to stop with the technical jargon going forward and talk normal language, basic normal language, right? To let the public and the consumers buy into what we're doing. That's also going to help with adoption. So for me, I'm big on the numbers, especially now we've got Aduna at the table that are helping people like us. We can now focus on the northbound and actually start putting rubber to road and getting the revenue going, rather than having to spend half of our life, as Andrés said, going around the world trying to convince operators to do it. That's his problem now, and to be fair, he's doing a good job so far. So well done, thank you. You can clap.
Thank
clap,
you.
Clap.
But I can pick up on that. I hope to get a bigger thank you, or the community, the industry gets a bigger thank you, not now, but soon. We haven't done our job just yet, right? It's too early to call success in terms of the big opportunity. We're on it. We're spending a lot of time on it. I'm not so much thinking in the 3 to 5 years mark. I'm thinking of the workshop next week with the operators in the Americas, right? So there's a lot of focus on the big markets and unlocking those, Americas being one of them. The European market, thanks to the work of Telefónica, DT, and Orange, and many others, this industry has been taken off in different shapes and forms, perhaps not at the big wholesale opportunity. But the Americas is a market that a lot of our demand customers in Europe and in America are waiting for on tapping. So that's one clear goal for us, the American market. And then if we can reach the 300 billion or trillion or whatever it is, we'll all be happy, but there's a lot of work to do here in the short term.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. I'm super excited about all the APIs related with fraud reduction and protection of the customers. But based on my experience talking with customers, I think we need to be smart sometimes because we overpromise sometimes. How many APIs do we have in the catalog of the CAMARA? I don't know, I forgot, but it's a lot, right? And it's not a matter of giving customer like, hey, here you have 50 APIs to protect your users and expecting them to integrate all the APIs, right, in parallel. And this is not how it works. So we need to be smart. We need to focus on what really matters and listen to customer to understand their problems. And that's, to me, the key value that we can bring them.
Cool, thank you. Now for the remaining minutes, I would like you to close with some final thoughts, and maybe I'll start for a difference on the other hand with Andrés. Andrés, what are the key takeaways that you want our public to go away with from this panel?
Yeah, I get the question, what's Aduna doing? And I don't see you guys enough. And we are there. We're just spending a lot of times with the carriers, having very challenging commercial, legal, not so much technical discussion. That's the CAMARA kind of standard has put us together, but we're doing the job a bit behind the scenes in smaller meetings at scale. We have a target of around 20 countries to cover by next year. That's very ambitious if you think there's 3 operators or 4 per country. So that's the work we're doing day to day, and hopefully we'll reap the benefits of that, not just Aduna, but the whole ecosystem.
Thank you. Álvaro?
Yeah, my final thought is about the experience from, sometimes put the customer hat sometimes and understand their pains when using the network APIs and avoid the situation that we promise, hey, we're going to be present in, I don't know, 50 countries and we are going to have like 50 APIs. We need to focus on what really matters and, again, listen to the problems of the customer. That's, to me, the most important thing.
Thank you.
I'm going to go slightly left or right here. First of all, I want to thank Rob. This is my first CASA conference, so thank you. But also a massive thank you to the audience, because what it tells me is, I know yesterday I think we had a show of hands. There was 13 different countries. The commitment is now in the industry.
Now we've got 2 minutes left in our slot, so if there's any questions from the public, raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. So thanks again.
Glad we covered everything.
Yeah.
I can still go ahead. Actually, I'll be frank, right? for me, I'll be very blunt, too much positivity or too much, hey, we're doing our job and let's focus on the customer. What's not working? Why are we not there? What's really not working? Why are we doing bad? Because we cannot do all great, because otherwise we would already see different numbers. What's not working? What are we missing? What are we not seeing?
The industry is doing $500 million a year, so I don't think we're doing too bad. First of all.
Yeah, I challenge that. Are we doing well with the capabilities
I would say I'll arm
that we
wrestle
have?
you, but you've got bigger arms than me. No, but that's, you know.
Okay. We celebrate the small successes.
Exactly,
okay.
Right, exactly. So we're back on the bike, we've fallen off, we're back on, we're cycling, we're moving forward. And as I say, testament to the people that have spent thousands of pounds being here. The industry's behind this now, we're moving forward. Vonage are doing millions in revenue, XConnect are doing millions in revenue, right? It's happening. Maybe not as quick as we'd all like, but don't forget, operators are like herding cats, right? Aduna have told you it's very, very, very complex to line 3 or 4 operators up in a country with the same API at the same time. So it's not that it's not happening, it's just very, very complex. But we should celebrate, to your point, the small successes along the way. And I think, you know, what Markus has done with TikTok, etc., just because they haven't put that in the news, it doesn't mean it's not a massive win for the industry. That's absolutely huge. And those things we should be celebrating.
Okay. I like it. Any other views?
Can I ask a question as well? So, from Cinch, the Vonage here and the Aduna partner, I'd really appreciate what you're doing and think it's a super initiative as well. What are some of the major unlocks, both from the Aduna perspective and from the carrier perspective, right? Because we deal with carriers all the time. What do you see as some of the sort of major unlocks that we do need to get unlocked at the carrier side? I'd love a comment from you and from DT as well.
You know, vision-wise, I think we're very aligned as an industry, right? The formation of Aduna and operators putting money on the table to form a joint venture to unlock this says a lot. But that's still, I don't want to call it a thin layer, but it's a niche layer in the operator community. And that still needs to propagate to the ways of working at the operational level. So I'm sitting in these workshops with operators in these countries, still trying to tell the story. And I should not be telling the story anymore, and we should be just executing on it.
Yes.
So we still need to go down the depth of the operational layer of the carriers to really get this unlocked. That's one challenge I see.
I like that honesty. I fully agree. I think that's great. You got it. You shouldn't tell the story, have to tell the story. They should be executing. I fully agree.
Yeah. Short answer to both of you. My biggest challenge is we are over-regulated. So the regulation in Europe prevents innovation or delays regulation. You can see what happens in China if you don't have it. We have great values, so don't understand me wrong. So data privacy is good. Network neutrality, it's all fine, it's all good, but in the moment, we don't have the right balance. And that really is difficult for us, and we should go in the discussion with the authorities to find a better balance between usability and our data privacy rights.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think you. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Markus. Thank you, Žiga.
Thanks.